What's up, guys? Today I want to do this video about training full-time, about the people who train full-time now and full-time fighters, and if your goal is to be a full-time fighter, and how you will or should adjust your training and make it where your body can handle it and make it where you're getting the most out of every practice and stuff like that. So most people coming up have to work a job. My first 3 years I was in the UFC, I worked a full-time job because just because the pay is not as good as people think it is, right? Now, at some point, you can get to a point where you can work, you can win enough fights and get a big enough paycheck that you can train full-time. And that's definitely amazing when you do it. And I remember when I used to train full-time, or when I first transitioned from working a regular job into being able to train full-time, I thought in my mind, oh, I'm going to train 10 hours a day. I'm going to train 10 hours a day. I'm going to do as much as I can. And to be honest with you, I kind of did. And what happened is I got injured. And I was basically overtraining, and I kept getting hurt. And I had shoulder surgery. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries on the same shoulder, the left one here. And I had hip surgery, and I just kept getting hurt by training too much. And do I think people overtrain? Absolutely, but I don't think the majority of people overtrain. But if you're someone in this position that I was in, where you're a UFC fighter, you're on a winning streak, you're trying to go far, and you know this is your life, then there is a possibility some of these guys are training too hard, for sure. So how I modified that is I did a lot of drilling. I'm a big believer in drilling, especially in grappling, because your body can't handle grappling hard every day. Not especially as you get older. As you get older, you definitely can't. But that doesn't mean you can't do something. So you need to substitute it with drilling. You need to, like, there would be times I would come in and me and my training partner would train for 2.5 hours straight, and we would just drill the same 20 moves for 2.5 hours. He does 5, I did 5. He did 5, I did 5. And the way we would do that is we wouldn't even roll. We wouldn't even roll at all. Or at the end of the round, or the end of the training, we would flow roll. We would flow roll for 30 minutes. Now, flow rolling, as good as it is for you, you have to know the technique. Because if you don't know the technique, if you're not at least a purple belt level person in jiu-jitsu, flow rolling is kind of pointless in my opinion, because you don't know enough technique to really flow roll. But once you know the technique, it can be very, very beneficial. Where it keeps your timing up. It's not going to get your conditioning where it needs to be, but that's not the point of it. The point is to keep your timing up and keep your body fresh where you're not getting hurt. But for me, in my experience, the hardest part of training full time was the grappling, because grappling is very hard on your body. You can strike way more. I have a video on this about wrestlers and why you should wrestle at a young age. Maybe if I can, I'll link the video to this one, where if you wrestle at a young age, the more you wrestle at a young age, the better, because your body's just not going to allow you to do it as you get older. So you can be in your 30s and strike 3 hours straight and do 3-hour practices and stuff like that, but it's just harder with grappling. So you substitute it for drilling. You make sure that, but you definitely need to make sure you're drilling a lot. And you can catch a lot of people by drilling, guys. If they say 10,000 reps masters a move, then you can do 10,000 reps of a move in a few months. And you're not going to be a black belt after those 10,000 reps, but you'll be a black belt at that move. And remember this, you don't have to be a black belt. You don't have to be a college level wrestler. You just have to be good at whatever specific moves you're working. You can pick 5 submissions and drill the same 5 submissions over and over and become a black belt at those moves. And that doesn't mean you're not going to beat a black belt. If you catch a black belt in one of your 5 moves that you've drilled thousands of reps, then they're done. It doesn't matter. So you don't have to be a black belt. You're never going to be a black belt at 100 different moves. Even black belts aren't black belts in their mind at 100 different moves. So being a black belt, can be important for people, absolutely. But it's more about the reps and the techniques, and you're drilling proper technique that works for fighting and that works in fights. And how do you know what works in fights, guys? Because there is a lot of grappling. I'll say this: there's a lot of grappling that will get you messed up in a fight, for sure. How do you know what works in fighting? Watch fighting. You see what works in fighting. Chokes work and fighting a lot. Leg locks don't work as good. I'm not hating on the leg lock community. I'm just being realistic. That doesn't work as good in MMA. Not saying it doesn't work at all, because of course it does. But it's still, I wouldn't base my career on low percentage moves. So you just need to pick moves that work for your sport. And if your sport is MMA, I'm talking to you. So you need to pick chokes. You need to pick defense. You need to pick specific takedowns. And you need to drill these moves over and over. I have another video that talks about if you'll be better if you quit going to regular class and instead you pick 30 moves grappling and you drill those same 30 moves for the next 3 years. And if that's all you ever did for the next 3 to 5 years, you drilled the same 30 moves, you'd be a better grappler than most of the people you go with. I guarantee you, because you would be a specialist at those moves. So make sure you're drilling high percentage moves and make sure you're giving your body rest. You don't have to go hard all the time, guys. When I was in the UFC and I was training 6 days a week, anywhere from usually 5 to 6 hours a day. Except on the sixth day, the sixth day I would train like 2 or 3 hours. But during the week I would train 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours at night, 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours at night. And your body's not going to allow you to go hard that whole time. So what you do is you substitute it for drilling. I would do 2 hours straight of drilling. I would do the same techniques over and over and over, and you just develop an understanding for them that most people don't on those techniques. Even if they're better than you in other areas, it doesn't matter. Once again, you don't have to be better than someone in all areas. You just have to be better at whatever move you're doing, right? So I make sure you're resting your body by not rolling every day. Maybe roll every other day. Maybe roll, if you're young, things are different, right, guys? If you're 20 years old, 21 years old, you can do that. If you're 31, maybe not as good of an idea. So that you're going to have to fill that out according to your own body. But the more you train, the more you drill, the more you do these reps, the more you hit the bags, the more you just train in general, the more you're going to learn your body. So that's important too, is learning your body. But guys, there's a way to train full time and there's a way not to. And you can't go hard all the time. You can try to go hard all the time at first, and what's going to happen is you're going to end up like me and just get injured. And a lot of people will. But you can always, that doesn't mean you only train 3 hours a day. That just means you substitute the other 3 hours for slow training and slow technique and perfecting your craft. And most of that comes through grappling, just because grappling is the roughest on your body and you can't do it every day hard. So something to think about, guys. Modify your training if you are trying to be a full-time fighter. There's plenty of people out there right now that might not have a job that allows them to be a full-time fighter, but there's also plenty of people out there that can be a full-time fighter even while working. If they're Uber driver, they're DoorDash, they're doing all these apps and stuff. You're not going to be rich, but you're going to get by. If you do Uber, DoorDash, Instacart, all of these different apps, you're going to get by enough where you could conceptually train twice a day, because you're really not putting any wear and tear on your body from your work. It's not like you're working in the oil field or at a factory or something. And if you are, there's people that do that too, but it's harder. So if you're interested in training full time, I would say you need to ease into it. You need to make sure you're doing stuff right. You need to focus a lot on the technique, and you need to find a job that doesn't beat your body up, where like being an Uber driver or something like that. And I know it's not going to pay you great money, but it's good enough where you can basically work out twice a day and save your body for training. Something to think about, guys. All right, let me know any other subjects you'd like me to go over. Just leave a comment below in the comment section, and I'll try to make a video about them. And subscribe to my YouTube channel, please, and get my book, The Ultimate Guide to Choosing a Martial Arts School and Instructor. The link is in the description below. Cheap, $4.99 book on Amazon. Look it up if you're looking for a gym near you. Thank you, guys.